It was the 1975 United States Speedway Nationals at the Los Angeles Coliseum. It was a great venue that Harry Oxley promoted. I think it was Brigo with them too. And they had the race. One of the races, I sat in the fourth row. It was my first year as a Speedway rider. And I was sitting there, and there's this little old lady from Pasadena right in front of me. And this is the race that Jim Fishback was in. And the race started. And Jim, I think he hit Rick Woods. And he went flying over the wall. He hit the wall and he went flying right in front of me. And he hit this little old lady right in front of me on the third row. I was on the fourth row. And he just smashed into this old lady. And she's screaming. You know, Jim's a big guy. And this little old lady from Pasadena was skinny and old. She was like 85. And she's screaming, "My leg's broken! My leg's broken!" And Jim Fishback is laying on this lady's lap right in front of me. I can see Jim. I can see the hair in Jim's nose. And Jim looked at the lady and said, "Sorry, lady." And he gets up and jumps over the wall and his bike's all bent up.
1971, Jim the Animal Fishback was a teenager and he raced Desert, District 37. Larry Rossler, and he became #1 in the 250cc class. Jim was just an amazing rider, but he didn't like Desert for one reason: he was all alone. When he pulled off these radical moves, which we know Jim can do on a speedway bike, nobody saw him. And also, Jim also said that when he crashed, he would do, like, let's say sometimes an endo, which is like over the handlebars, and nobody would see him. So he would do some amazing crashes and nobody would even see him. So he wanted to be seen by people. So he actually switched to motocross. They paid him money. So he raced at Saddleback and at Carlsbad for a few years. And he did quite well. And Jim can ride any sport. I mean, like desert, motocross. And then Jim went to where? Speedway in 1975. We have the rookie, Jim the Animal Fishback, number 275. In his rookie year, Jim the Animal Fishback, he stayed with his number 275 the rookie year and his entire racing career. He was an amazing rider. Really wild because he had all that experience riding the desert and the motocross. That guy could ride a motorcycle, so he just brought it to Speedway. Jim came in with quite a variety of racing experience, and he used that in Speedway. One time at, I believe it was IMS, Bruce Flanders, the announcer, he reported that Fishback got taken out by the wall, and he actually rode on the wall, was riding the wall like a Danny Becker and just berming off that thing. He rode wild. That's one thing about Jim. He just rode crazy. Whether he was in the lead or last place, it didn't matter. Jim was just a wild, nutty rider, and that's why they called him the Animal.
Jim the Animal Fishback was an animal. He looked like a prisoner from the state prison. Look at that guy. But man, Jim the Animal could ride. He could ride wild. He could ride that speedway bike. He could win. He could do anything he wanted on a speedway bike. The mark of a good speedway rider is to know where he's at and to transfer. Here's Jim transferring to a main event. And Jim worked as a referee in Speedway for several seasons. Who wanted to argue with the animal? Jim Fishback.
We're going to talk about the Fishbacks. Jim and Jimmy, father and son.
My mama taught me that in life, never disrespect your elders. Jim Fishback is our elder. Don't disrespect him. In the next video, this guy was disrespecting Jimmy and making fun of him, and I would never do that, but I would love to have a match race with Jim Fishback. I asked him before I retire, let's have a go at it, like a two-lapper. And Jim Fishback schooled this guy coming up.
Should be a Legends race coming up next. One last race, according to what my notes in Legends, and it would be Fishback and Johnson, Kevin Johnson, and Jim Fishback Sr., for those of you who have been around. You may have been following this. This race actually ended up starting as a kind of a trash talking on the internet. Kevin Johnson vocalized a complaint about the fact that they adjust who's in different races and different yardages during the night. You'll learn that that happens at every speedway track. Jim Fishback told him that he's got to learn how to get around traffic. I don't know if Kevin Johnson is so young that he just doesn't know who Jim Fishback Sr. is, and kind of threw it down of, well, if you race me, all you'd see is the number on my back. Now, I don't know if you know Jim Fishback Sr., but somebody tells Jim Fishback Sr. that all he's going to read is the number on his back. Jim Fishback Sr. has a different idea about what's going to be seen. Anyway, Jim Fishback Sr. at one time qualified for the national championship at California State with regularity. He also ruled the desert. But I got to tell you this part, and I don't want it to sound demeaning. That was 50 pounds ago. 50 pounds ago. And Jim Fishback has decided he'll take up the battle against Kevin Johnson, and that's Fishback, the first one out. Jimmy Fishback, the larger of the two, and Johnson on the outside. Ready to do a two-lap match race. We'll see who sees the back of whose number right about now. Ready, ready. Oh, turn that puppy, Jim. He got him! He got him! Look out for wily old veterans, you youthful young things coming up. Okay, and again, that was not, I don't think he ever practiced on that bike. I don't think he was even intending to ride that bike.